Perfect. All right. And hello, everybody, and welcome. I am here with the directors of Space Cowboy, a new documentary that's coming to TIFF. I am so excited to talk to both of you. I very much enjoyed this. Was as thrilling of a ride as it was to probably do, I'm sure. I'm a fan of skydiving, haven't done it. It's been on my bucket list forever, but definitely something that I want to try. So I guess my first question is, how did you guys even come up with this idea to follow somebody like Joe in the world of skydiving and cinematography and all those things?
Well, I met Joe pretty randomly working on a commercial and was just blown away by his career and just the audacity of what he was doing up in the sky, and built a little bit of a friendship with him. And as that grew, I started becoming even more interested and fascinated in his personal journey, his emotional journey. And that's when I started feeling like this could be a film that not only people would enjoy, but it would resonate with people. So I set out to make it. And I was watching and researching other documentaries in that kind of atmosphere, and ones that I thought did a really good job of telling the story in like kind of the raw and gritty type of way that I appreciate in filmmaking. And one of those films was Sunshine Superman, a documentary on the father of base jumping, that was directed by Marah. And I reached out for some mentorship of, how do I do this? How do I make a film like yours? And that kind of started this entire crazy journey.
Marah, how were you drawn? Obviously, he gave us a little meet cute, but how were you kind of drawn to this project and those types of things?
Well, my uncle was a base jumper and skydiver, and he actually died in a car accident of all things.
Oh my gosh.
And when he died, he left this pile of footage, which became the first seeds of Sunshine Superman. And then when Bryce contacted me about this project, really interesting fact, it was parts of it were filmed with the same camera that Carl Banish, who was the main person in my film, used to film the footage in Sunshine Superman. So it was this amazing kind of coincidence, I don't know, universal moment of like, this is meant to be. But I was like, well, yeah, I mean, this makes a lot of sense that I would be involved. And then Bryce and I got along really well, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great. How long did it take you guys to kind of compile all the footage and also get all of the interviews? Because I know you guys talked to a lot of different people, and the documentary spans quite a few years. I mean, it basically spans Joe's entire life, up to now. So walk me through a little bit about how you guys kind of put all that footage together, and how you guys wanted to piece the story of Joe's life and the extreme things that he was doing.
Yeah, I can talk about a little bit of the timeline. We, because of just the process of trying to develop the film and get it funded, Marah and I had a lot of research, a lot of talks on how we would tell the story and structure the story. But when we finally kind of really hit the ground running, it was about a year, which is from start to finish, which is extremely fast for archival film. And as far as kind of the archive and dealing with the footage, I'll pass that to Marah, because she was definitely from the beginning, like I said, of mentoring me, always telling me that, like, Bryce, archival films are different. The process is different, the timeline is different, the way you attack it is different. And she's kind of the guru of that world, and has definitely informed how our team tackled that.
Well, my background's in editing, and I really felt from the beginning like this was a lot of footage. It was like over 100 hours, 200 hours, something like that, of archival footage. So for me, one of the most important things is to watch the footage as a director, and Bryce and I really watched every inch of this, like every little bit of this footage. And in addition, we brought on Eric Brueggemann, who was my partner on Sunshine Superman, also my most recent film, which was a film about the wrestler China. Also, both films with huge amounts of archival footage. So really, very early on, I knew this was going to be something that's super exciting, but also going to be take more time than we want. Now all of the production schedules and documentaries are like this because it's cheaper to have a shorter timeline. But it required a number of editors. So we had, 2 editors plus myself, bringing the footage down to these scenes and putting this film together. So it was quite a process, and it was, really orchestrated, and it's like Christmas every day, but it was like, a lot of painstaking work from our editors.
Sure. One of the things that I think really sets Space Cowboy apart from a lot of other documentaries is it's not just showing the cinematography and the things that Joe does in the air and how he's kind of created this entire world of just extreme filming, and you kind of catch some of his footage that you didn't realize was him until like the Goose commercial and all those different types of things. But one of the things that I think really makes this unique is there's a story here that goes a little bit beyond just Joe and himself and his career. The film really kind of talks a lot about loss and grief and depression, and really kind of ties those things into, you can live your dream, but you can also be really, really sad. Like you can have a lot of things going on. So talk to me a little bit about how you guys incorporated those types of things into something that you wouldn't think would have those themes.
Or you should start, Bryce, because I think Bryce, yeah, go ahead, Bryce.
I think that's something that really attracted me to this project from the beginning, was that, it was the world of this story is the extreme sports world, but the story is a human interest story. It's an emotional journey. It's rather than an extreme sports story. And the fact that somebody like Joe Jennings, who I think most people would see him on the surface and be like, wow, I have nothing in common with that guy, right? He is doing all these crazy things in the air. He's a rock star. He's a extreme games gold medalist. He's in Hollywood movies. And then as you kind of break through that surface and as he gets more vulnerable, you realize, like, wow, I have a ton in common with this person, whether it be the depression, whether it be, childhood trauma affecting the emotional foundation of the rest of your life, whether it be maneuvering, taking care of a family and dealing with their issues and your issues dumping onto them. There's just so many things that got me excited about this film, where I was like, wow, Joe is just this incredible person that I think there's a lot to be, to learn from him and to just empathize with what he's gone through, that anybody can relate to. So that was something that got me excited. And maybe Marah could talk a little bit about how we took that crazy rant of emotions I just gave and crafted it into something that could be coherent.
Yeah, I mean, basically, sports films should not just be about sports. There's this sense that, and I'm not a sporty person at all, by the way. Like
I'm not either, so
I'm not sporty. I've now made 3 films about something that somebody could put in a sports section, but I think they're love stories. I think they're films about passion. I think, these are visual films that bring you in visually and then keep you around emotionally. And I think, for me as a female filmmaker in this space, I'm always pushing for kind of more of the love story and more of the emotional story that is underneath it. And I think this film was such a great opportunity to talk about a family, to talk about depression, to talk about what it's like to live with ADHD and depression inside a family. And I think, not only are these themes really relatable, but I think Bryce and I both, felt a lot of it, of the story reflected in our own lives and a lot of things we've experienced or witnessed. And, it felt really important and really real to talk about, to entertain, but also to educate. And, I think at the best, that's what documentaries are doing. You feel entertained and you're also learning something versus just learning something. I definitely feel this is a film that does both. And I think, you know, I think it'll play very well to a non-skydiving audience, which is really important in the films that I make, and I think in the films Bryce will make and made. So I think, you know, it's probably the most important thing about this film is that it has multiple layers.
Yeah. And I think it's great. And I do think that all of those things come through. You know, I don't know much about the extreme skydiving world, but you guys are definitely able to take something that feels very niche and feels very, you know, singular to a very small group of people, but through those emotional through lines that you guys are able to kind of bring out from the story and Joe's honesty, it really does feel relatable. I left feeling like, wow, kind of like you were talking about, Bryce, like, yeah, I relate to Joe more than I ever thought. Like, I'm not jumping out of a plane in a car, but I know what it's like to, you know, feel that depression and live with certain things. So really, really incredible. So I'll have two questions, and then, you know, I know you guys got to do this all day. So so last question would just be, as it plays at TIFF, what are you guys really hoping that people gravitate towards? I know you touched a little bit on it, Marah, but yeah, what are you guys really hoping that people get when they see it at the festival?
I'll speak for myself. I really think that, you know, I hope people can take away from this just the awe of seeing it on a big screen, which I think as filmmakers, more and more, we don't get the experience to share. We don't get the ability to share things, you know, in a cinematic environment. I think, you know, this is a amazing spectacle, and I hope people can enjoy that. And then I hope people can also, you know, relate it to their own lives and relate it to their own families and be able to really experience it on a deeper level. So, you know, that would be my hope in taking it away, that people weren't like, oh, that extreme sports film, because it's hopefully more than that to people. For me, it definitely is.
Sure. Bryce, for yourself?
Yeah, for me, I mean, just having it play at, you know, an incredible festival like TIFF, and, you know, this, like Marah said, the spectacle of it being premiered on a big screen is just, you know, I'm already feel like I'm playing with house money, you know, just be at that point. So I'm going into TIFF pretty loose and excited for whatever happens. But I definitely hope that anybody that, you know, sees our film can, you know, appreciate Joe's journey and be uplifted by it, and whatever their, you know, whatever their passions are, whatever their obsessions are, whatever their grief is, and, you know, find something to kind of cling on to and be uplifted by. That would be incredible for me.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. My last question, very quick pop quiz, but I always like to ask something totally different. What has been your favorite film that you guys have seen this year? So Bryce, I'll start with you.
I was actually just telling Marah that I can't believe I hadn't seen it, but I just saw for the first time Before Sunrise, Richard Linklater's film, which is like, yes. And I was quite, talk about taking away something from a film. Like, just as a writer, I was just blown away by what they were able to do with two people seemingly walking around a city talking for an entire film. You know, it was, so yeah.
Yeah, great pick. Marah?
Oh my gosh. You know, this is really embarrassing. I can't think of a single movie that I've watched this year because I have been watching footage like the year. Like, I do not, you know, this is awful. This is absolutely awful. But you know, there's a great, and I'm even forgetting the title. I've been reading a lot of books that are written by filmmakers, and I would say that Werner Herzog's most recent book, which I'm forgetting the name of right now, is my most favoriteest book I've read in a long time. And I think, you know, Werner Herzog as a filmmaker is a complete inspiration. And although I don't have time to watch movies right now, I do love them very, very much.
I'll take it. That's a great answer. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Very much looking forward to more people getting to experience Space Cowboy and get a chance to watch it. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.